when you stand and deliver that State of the Union address, in no part of your mind or brain can you imagine Donald Trump standing up one day and delivering a State of the Union address?
Well, I can imagine it in a Saturday night skit.
Oh, as if the current president has not been the subject of sketches on Saturday Night Live. President Obama on NBC's Today Show earlier this morning, the current commander-in-chief speaking disparagingly of Donald Trump. Well, whatever this president has to say, Donald Trump continues to do very well in the polls. The latest Quinnipiac poll shows Trump up by 2 points over Ted Cruz in Iowa. So, will anybody stump Donald Trump? Let's talk about it. And let's welcome in our panel, Skyping in from New York City, the noted columnist for the Fiscal Times, Liz Peek. And Skyping in from Nashville, Tennessee, Chief Political Correspondent for USA Radio Network's Scottie Nell Hughes. Liz, first to you. We know that Trump has been, I guess, engaged in what we might call birth badgering Ted Cruz. Is that working?
It may be. Clearly, Cruz's momentum in Iowa was halted. And what it seems from the polls is that this was new news to a lot of people. In fact, I've had people say to me, gosh, I didn't know that Cruz was born in Canada. And because John McCain and Donald Trump and some others have raised this issue as a possibility, a possible liability, I think people are taking a look at that. I think it's pretty clear that it's perfectly okay. And after all, John McCain also was not born on U.S. soil. He was born on a military base, so maybe that's a little bit nuanced. But, look, at this point in the race, with these two so close and appealing to a lot of the same people, anything like this that kind of casts a doubt is pretty clever on Trump's part. And I guess
the old principle is this. In politics, if you're explaining, you're losing. So, Scottie Nell, Ted's having to explain.
He's having to explain, but I don't consider this to be kind of an attack from Donald Trump. I'm still going to stick by my theory that Trump is almost doing Cruz a favor in this. This issue was going to be brought up by the Democrats or by the establishment if they felt like they had traction. It's coming out now. Tell me, what is the logic behind anybody with the Trump organization or Mr. Trump making Ted Cruz's folks, who sits in number 2 with a majority of people, making them angry? Because let's just say Donald Trump is our nominee. He is going to need those folks not to be disenfranchised with him, rather to still be very favorable and willing to go out and work for him when it comes to the general election. I think this is clearing the air now. Now, granted, it did do a little bit of damage in Iowa, but not enough. I think Ted Cruz is solid enough, right now for a win.
Donald Trump as a helpful diplomat.
I'm sorry, I can't see the reasoning why Donald Trump would want to make Ted Cruz.
Well, because he wants to be number one. And now listen, I've got to go to something else, and that is this kind of Democrat double teaming on Donald Trump. We heard President Obama, Vice President Joe Biden earlier today said it is possible that Trump could win the election. Let's take a look.
Yes, I think it's possible, and I hope that if that were to occur, I hope it doesn't, because I have fundamentally different views than he does. I hope that he gets a lot more serious about the issues.
So there is Joe Biden saying nice things about Donald Trump. Liz Peek, is Joe Biden sounding more and more like a candidate? Is he going to reconsider and get in this thing?
I think if Hillary is indicted, which is not a remote possibility in my book, it's actually a real possibility. I think Biden would be back in the race instantaneously. But look, Joe Biden has had a history of saying things that are uncomfortably true. For example, when he talked about how the middle class has been left behind. Sometimes Joe just tells the truth, and the truth is Donald Trump is a serious contender here. And frankly, I think Obama's pitch on that was tone deaf, like so much of his stuff recently. I think it's snotty, and you have tens of millions of Americans excited about Donald Trump. So what? I mean, the president is too cool for that, and Donald Trump is not worthy of his notice. I thought that was really tin-eared.
And I bet what's going to happen this Saturday night, it'll be the subject of a sketch on Saturday Night Live. Now, I don't really think this is comedic, but it is very interesting. Poll numbers all over the place in New Hampshire as the fight is on there for second place among Republicans behind Trump. Latest poll has Rubio tanking, dropping to fourth. John Kasich rising into a tie for second with Ted Cruz. With the GOP debate coming up on Thursday and Fox Business announcing the lineup for both the main debate and the undercard, Rand Paul did not make the cut for the main debate. He's not going to show up for the pre-debate. Scottie Nell, is that a wise move on the part of the senator from Kentucky?
Well, it's definitely a dramatic move. And as we're learning this election, sometimes stealing the headlines helps you. Listen, Rand Paul is having the worst day ever. The Senate today struck down his audit the Fed bill was something he was really counting on to kind of give him a boost in the polls. Now you've got him not a part of the main stage. You know what? It's more about how Rand Paul is handling the news. He immediately went on the press on an opposite station. And then he goes on his Twitter account telling people, hey, if I can just get 20 more people to donate $10 to me, we're really going to stick it to that mainstream media. Is the way he's handling this disappointment. The minor stage is not necessarily a bad thing. We've seen some really good candidates make some really great moves when they're on the minor stage. So I don't necessarily think this is a negative thing for him. Unfortunately, Senator Rand Paul has handled this horribly, and so I think this will be the end of his campaign.
We will have to leave it there, the end of our conversation. Ladies, we thank you both for your input. Liz Peek, especially about Obama's 10-year. It'll be interesting to see how that manifests itself tonight in the State of the Union address. Thanks to you both. I got to leave it there. There's more coming up. John Gizzi with the Archbishop next.